This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Hello.
Oops. Everything is going extremely well.
Whoops. You weren't supposed to hear that bit. Never mind. Everything is working very, very well. Don't you worry about that. Some texts and tweets from last night. Pam texted, Boris is getting more and more like Trump every day. He is an embarrassment. He should go ASAP. He's a twit. More and more like Trump.
Don't be rude.
That is pretty rude there, Pam. Simon texts, I'm confused why Her Majesty's opposition are not making more of the police's decision not to make any further announcements on Partygate until after May's elections. One would hope the British public will read between the lines. Not, says Simon. It does seem a bit weird, doesn't it? It seems like a party political move on the part of the police. Mary tweets, I made a pear crumble today, and when I poured custard on it, I could see the face of Bodger. In your crumble. Sue says, why was Bodger only fined 50 quid when students were fined £10,000? That's right, yeah. They were threatened with all sorts. They were threatened that Priti Patel was going to come around and see them personally.
Oh, no.
Can you imagine that? Yeah, 10 grand. I think £10,000 fines were handed out to people that were organisers of the event. And at least one event, so we are led to believe, was not a party until Bodger Johnson showed up. And then it was a party. David texts, we're going to have the worst economy in the G7. Experts are saying it's because of Brexit, but maybe we should wait and see what Tim from Wetherspoons has to say. Haven't heard from him in a long while. Maybe they're remaking Catweasel. He's busy. Rod says, if Bodger Johnson walked out onto the River Thames and sank like a stone, people would say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is in reference to his biggest fan in the whole wide world. The Connor Burns, Northern Ireland Minister Connor Burns, said if Bodger Johnson stepped off Westminster Bridge and walked on water, people would complain that he couldn't swim. Yeah, good reference there, because that's what Boris Johnson reminds the people of. Jesus Christ. Yes. 300 images, by the way, we haven't seen. What a picture, what a photograph. 300 images have been handed to Scotland Yard by senior civil servant Sue Gray. You remember Sue Gray, don't you?
No.
No, I mean, it seems like forever. I'm not sure she actually exists. Has anybody ever seen a Sue Gray? Sue Gray led a Cabinet Office probe into the matter. She handed over 300 images that were handed to her. Everybody's a journalist now. Everybody's got a photograph-taking machine in their pockets. Photograph-taking machine. Do you mean camera? Yeah, a camera. Idiot. 300 images. Can you imagine? I would imagine that many of which have been taken by one of the people that we pay to trail Bodger around to take photographs of him in his best light. You know, standing on a JCB digger, for instance, or emerging from the dressing up box, looking like he does somebody's job for a living. Yeah, one of the people that are supposed to make you look good might be your undoing, Bodge. How about that? So far, no pictures have been made public of the 12 events being investigated by the police. 12! Which include, but are not limited to, a bring your own booze garden business meeting. A gathering in the Cabinet Office to mark Mr. Johnson's 56th birthday. He's 56 and he still dresses like a schoolboy. And there was, of course, a series of leaving do's. I imagine the people that were leaving were the most delighted of all. The Privileges Committee is a cross-party group of 7 MPs with a Tory majority. And they're still complaining because their chairman is a Labour man, Chris Bryant. But Chris Bryant has recused himself from the investigation into Johnson because he doesn't like him very much, with good reason. But that didn't prevent Smug from sticking his spectacles up his nose and saying, like that. That the chairman was a Labour man, this investigating committee. So make of that what you will. Well, we don't make anything of it at all. He's recused himself, smug. Don't you know anything?
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
Johnson said the issue before us today is how much of my time and my energy can I expend apologising? Well, it depends. How much have you done? See, blaming us for questioning him over his various illegal shenanigans. It's our fault for being so interested, you see. The Prime Minister faces a fresh inquiry into whether he deliberately misled MPs.
Yes.
Shall we go ahead and assume that the answer is actually no? Nothing to see here. Please move along. A Labour bid to force an inquiry into the Commons Privileges Committee by the Commons Privileges Committee into whether Johnson knowingly misled MPs over lockdown powers in Number 10 is going to go ahead. It's a bit Watergate-ish, all of this. You know, they didn't get Nixon on the actual crime. They got him on the lying about the crime. Liar! It's like they didn't get Al Capone for, all of the killing. They got him for tax evasion. Might not be the parties that do it for you, Bodge. It might be what you told us about the parties afterwards. Just saying. Batting for Bodge, however, none other than Environment Minister Zach Goldsmith. He launched a stinging attack on Bodger's critics, saying that many of them were annoyed they're not Prime Minister, annoyed they're not ministers, or who simply know that bashing Boris turns them instantly into top Tories, says Zach Goldsmith, the man that was elevated to the House of Lords to rule over us for life by his close personal friend and fellow Old Etonian school chum, Bodger Johnson. It's the school, isn't it? I mean, there just seems to be a certain type that comes from it. Or maybe they were like that when they went in. Superior, entitled, and smug. A smug.
I don't know anything.
The row overshadowed Johnson's trip to India, where he appeared irritated by a string of media questions. Again, it's our fault for being so impertinent as to quiz him. Why, we should know our place. Here, all the screens have gone off in here, by the way.
Oh dear.
The most importantly, the screen that tells me what time it is.
It's 10 minutes past 10 and 25 seconds.
10 minutes past 10 and you could be
29 seconds now.
Well, what time is it now?
10:34.
Right. What time is it now?
37.
And now?
40.
Are you old enough to remember the speaking clock?
No.
Then you have delighted us enough. The row overshadowed Johnson's trip to India, where he appeared irritated by a string of media questions. During a fractious interview with Sky News, he repeatedly pointed to his watch and urged the channel's political editor, Beth Rigby, to focus on the substance of the visit to one of Britain's biggest allies. The substance was that he had to run away somewhere, so it might as well be there. Allies, by the way. Allies. I mean, they seem pretty close to Vlad the Insaner to be allies of ours. And, by the way, is that the same India that wants a free movement of people between here and there in return for free trade? And if it is that what the average Brexiter voted for? Because if so, I'm a Knickerbocker Glory with cream on top. David texts. No, read that. Rob, Boris Johnson. Rob says, Boris Johnson is... These are texts from last night. Boris Johnson and co, so rich, the only choice in life they have is whether to tell the truth or to lie. What a lucky bunch. Mary says, when Liz Truss came back from Australia, her achievement was cheaper Australian wine. How cheaper? like about 10 pence, something like that. They were crowing about it like it was a big success. Cheaper Australian wine. Hey, have you noticed how cheap the Australian wine is these days?
No.
No, it's the same blooming price. Cheaper Australian wine. Do me a favour, Liz Truss. Anyway, it says, however, any benefits from a trade deal with the UK will be wiped out by proposed changes to wine duties by the Treasury. Therefore, is the PM coming back with a deal which will result in cheaper Kingfisher beer? In other words, yet another trade deal which has no impact. Sort out the protocol, Bojo, so we can have the VAT removed from our fuel bills. Safe journey home, says Mary. I don't know whether that last part was being sarcastic. Are you being sarcastic, Mary? VAT removed from our fuel bills. I do recall that when we were persuaded to leave the European Union by, various individuals, that VAT was one of the things that they crowed about we'd be able to do something on. We'd be able to remove it from our fuel bills. Ain't that right, Smug?
I don't know anything.
I believe that's one of the things that you promised us, along with cheaper food, clothes and shoes. How's that going, by the way?
Fabulous.
Lucy says, is he the bodger or the dodger now? He is a clown, though, a very spooky one, power mad. A spooky clown. Like in a horror film. A little bit, yeah. Doreen emails, Granada has decided that they would rather not have Edward and Sophie visit. Yeah, what's that about? Why are they there? Why are they there is one question, and who are they is another. Don't the royal family ever learn, says Doreen. We live in the world of the worldwide wait. The Caribbean is aware of why Harry and Meghan left, and even worse, the latest antics of Andrew, so I will ask the question again. They were not interested in Wills and Kate, so I'm not quite sure why Edward and Sophie think that they can achieve. Take a holiday by all means, but do they know that nobody gives a damn about Edward and Sophie here in the UK? So why should they in the Caribbean? It's time these royal jollies abroad came to an end like yesterday, says Doreen, who has the kind of name that I would have thought should be all in with the royal family, but, maybe not. I'm just making assumptions based on your name, Doreen, but I would guess you're about, 130 years old? 130 years old. You made it. 0345 6060 973. What's their royal title, by the way, Edward and Sophie?
No idea.
Yeah, no one has a clue. Oh, aren't they the Wessexes? Aren't they the Duke and Duchess of Wessex or something preposterous like that? I bet if I went into the street with a clipboard and waved a fiver in somebody's face, if they got the right answer, I bet not one single person would take that fiver off me. Who is the Duke and Duchess of Wessex? There wouldn't be a single person who'd know. I bet if I held up pictures of them, they still wouldn't be able to tell me who they are. Edward and Sophie. So they found a use for them. Going on holiday where the locals don't want them. Excellent choice. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
What in blazes goes on inside that head of yours?
Yeah, never you mind. 0345 6060 973. These are texts and emails from last night. Let me just see how many I've got. Oh, that's ridiculous. I'll never get through those. I've already got some coming in for today. How do these people get my number? John says, what would be amazing would be if Johnson was seen walking over the Thames on the Garden Bridge. Well, I would like that. I think it's a shame that the Garden Bridge never got built. I also think it's a shame that the airport on the island on the east of London never got built. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I agree with Boris Johnson on both of those issues. What? Yes. I think the Garden Bridge would have been great over the Thames. Just a walkway over the Thames with lots of planting on it. Flora and fauna. Marvellous. And, of course, it's absolute insanity that all of the planes that go into Heathrow have to fly over London in its entirety. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Bernadette says, did you ever see the cult film Ride with the Devil? No, I did not. There were a lot of close-up scary shots of the Covens' faces. They remind me of the current cabinet, Nick. Scary, says Bernadette. I'll put it on my to-see list, Bernadette. Declan says, I just had laser surgery yesterday. I was amazed at what I can now see. Yeah, I had laser surgery. It's one of the best things I ever did. In fact, I was one of the first people in this country to have eye laser surgery. So long ago now, it's like the mists of time. And it was before the current method that they use now. What they do now is, and I bet it didn't hurt that much, Declan. It did when I had it. What they do now is and you're probably not going to want to hear this, but they cut a flap of the front of your eye, like the see-through skin on the front of your eye, and then they peel it off. Well, no, they peel it up, then they zap the sort of spongy bit inside with a laser, and then they put the flap back down again. That's not what they used to do. They used to take something that looked like a kind of an egg whisk, but a very, very small one. It was a circle of metal on the end of a metal stick, and they scraped the front of your eyeball off. Yes. And then they zapped it, and then you had to lie in a darkened room for 3 days while the skin on your eyeball grew back again. That's painful. Believe me, worst pain ever. And you had to sit in a dark room because you couldn't move your eyes at all. And it's incredibly difficult not to move your eyes. Because every time you did, the scraped off bit would come into contact with your eyelids. And it was like your eyelids were made of sandpaper. It was just awful. There's nothing you can do when you move that doesn't make your eyes move automatically. Even if you're concentrating really hard on not moving your eyes, you just can't do it. So you have to be completely still in a darkened room. And it's still agony. But you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
0345 6060 973. Let's have a call in, or on, probably, the Isle of Wight. Billy.
Hi, Nick. Good
Billy.
afternoon. Good afternoon. Good
Yes,
evening.
sir.
Yes, it is on the Isle of Wight. You know, it really annoys me. I can't remember which. I'm not going to name and shame them, but I think, actually, no, I will. I think it was Rachel Johnson. I spoke to her last week, and she said, Billy, in the Isle of Wight. Oh. And I felt like saying, on the Isle of Wight.
On the Isle of Wight.
It really frustrates me when people say, in the Isle of Wight.
I mean, unless you were calling from the bottom of a well or something.
Well, I mean, alternatively, I'm in Ventnor, for example. So if you said in Ventnor on the Isle of Wight, that would be okay.
You're an inventor?
Ventnor. I'm in Ventnor.
You're in Ventnor?
Yeah. Ventnor's in the very...
it's a place.
Sort of,
right.
Yeah.
First I thought you said you were an inventor, and then I thought you were saying that you were a vintner. And now, okay, but you're in Ventnor. Right. Never heard of it. What's it like?
Some people... it's very nice. We have a microclimate down here. It's lovely. So in the summer, it's beautiful, Nick. It is like being on a desert island. It really is.
And what's it like in the winter?
In the winter, it's awful. It's awful. I seem to recall a couple of years ago it was snowing here, and obviously because there's lots of hills in Ventnor, none of the buses can get through. So I was basically trapped for 2 days, and I had to rely on the local co-op.
There's no buses on the Isle of Wight.
There is, but they're few and far between, Nick.
Yeah, I know that, because I actually made the mistake of going to the Isle of Wight on foot. First of all, getting off that ferry, I thought I was going to die, because I found myself on the car deck, and all of the people, all of the cars and all of the lorries, it was mostly lorries, started their engine before you arrive in the dock, in the port.
Oh yes.
And because there was no facilities for foot traffic. Everybody goes by car. I was pretty much the only person on foot on that boat. And so there was no way for somebody on foot to get out, or at least I couldn't find it. So you had to get out through the car deck. And the car deck was so crammed in. And because it was lorries, I found myself standing with no room between two lorries. And I thought, the drivers don't know I'm here. They've got their engines running. The boat hasn't actually arrived yet. I'm going to die because there was no way to get out. I thought I definitely did think I was going to die on that boat.
And that's in addition to the fact that you probably think you're also going to die from carbon monoxide poisoning as well.
Exactly.
Because all of the cars, I know exactly what it's like, because I mean I've been in the car before, and you can smell the fumes from the.
How stupid is that? It's as stupid as those people that get up on a plane the moment it touches the tarmac and then just stand in the aisle for 10 minutes, not realising. I mean, how can you be so silly as to not realise that you're not allowed to get off the plane until it actually comes to a halt? But no, they've leapt to their feet and they've got their baggage out as though it's going to give them a head start. So anyway, I get off this boat and I go on the bus, having waited for about a half an hour. There was like one bus on the island. And he said, and this is an indication of how sort of living in the past it is on the Isle of Wight. He said that my fare was £5 bob. you have to be a certain age to even know what that means.
I must say, Nick, you're doing some great advertisement for coming to the Isle of Wight. I mean, I don't blame you if you've not gone since. I really can't. The novelty wears off quite quickly, as I think you've probably soon discovered.
Well, I'm looking at a picture of Ventnor at the moment, as a matter of fact, and it looks really lovely.
It is nice. There's a nice community in Ventnor. We're quite lucky. We have lots of people from London and further afield that actually live here regularly, permanently. Right. Unlike other areas of the Isle of Wight, similar to problems in Cornwall, where you've got like second homeowners. So we're very lucky that we have a really good. We have lots of investment in the town. And,
a community. Yes.
Yeah, it's a real community, right. Exactly, even though that's cheesy. Nick, I wanted to very quickly talk to you about what you was mentioning a moment ago about all of the members of the cabinet going to the same university.
School.
To the same school, yes. It just strikes me, really, because when you think about it, over the last 40, 50 years, I'm thinking of two particular prime ministers who went against the grain, and two that I admire and respect, and that's John Major and Gordon Brown. And I respect Gordon Brown a little bit more than I do John Major. That's probably just because of my political leaning. But when you think about when they come out and they speak in the media, and they do an interview round, everybody wants to know what they have to say because they have credibility. And it strikes me that it can't be a coincidence, Nick, that one was a bus driver and was from a working class background and didn't go to university, and the other went to a university in Glasgow, i.e. not Oxford or Eton. And I just feel as though we've not learned, or it seems as though we haven't as an electorate.
Well, it's the part of the British malaise that we doff our caps. We can't wait to genuflect before those with a posh put-on accent, which informs you-know-who.
I don't know anything.
His mystifying popularity is all about that. We fall to our knees in front of anybody that has a clipped accent. And I just, it's just mystifying, really. I just don't get it. There were still like that. And as for Gordon Brown and John Major, when they speak, as opposed to the politicians that we have for today, who seem like so many schoolyard children, they have gravitas. They sound like leaders.
And I seem to recall as well, back in 2016 during the referendum, I think John Major put politics aside and stood alongside Tony Blair to campaign for Remain, and I think that kind of highlights, regardless of your leaning in the 2016 Brexit referendum, it highlights that was an era, and that is an era of politics where people are able to put issues to one side in order to campaign for what they felt was the common good.
Yeah, in a nutshell, they worked for the benefit of the country rather than the benefit of themselves personally.
Precisely, and that, again, it doesn't matter what your opinion is on Brexit or how one voted. It's the fact that, as you say, they were able to put an issue to one side in order to campaign for what they felt was in the common interest and good for the country. Whereas, as we know, Boris Johnson wrote 2 articles, didn't he? One for Remain and one for Leave. And it just astonishes me, Nick. I really, really hope that he just can't see what's coming to him on May the 5th in the local elections.
We'll find out on May the 5th. All right, thanks a lot, Billy. How's Brexit going, by the way?
Brexit's going great.
Good to know, Nige. Thanks, Nige. You're the best.
I'm a nutcase.
0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. By the way, these shows get stuck up the internet as a podcast, you know. We take the news and the ads out, which means it takes less time to listen to. You'll use less electricity, and you still won't be able to pay your fuel bill because Fishy Sunak won't remove the VAT on fuel. Bill! Thanks a lot, Fishy. Ask for it by name on an internet near you. In fact, the best internet in the country. Ask Nadine Dorris for further details. We have the best internet in the world in this country. You can downstream anything you like on it. It's called Nick Abbott, The Whole Show. It's on Global Player. You really should have Global Player in your life. If you don't, you can squirt it up your phone for iPod and Android. Or something that sounds quite similar to that. Oh, look at the time. It's 10:30. Thank goodness for that. Hoving interview with the news, Serena Farrow.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Okie dokie.
Matt emails, the time has come for another inquiry, but first we need an inquiry into whether inquiry is spelt with an I or an E. After this, we'll be able to inquire into other matters. Well, of course, it's spelt with an E and an I if it starts with an E. But he means, does it start with an E or does it start with an I? Is it enquiry or inquiry? And it depends, is the answer to that question. If you enquire about what time is it? What time is it?
10:34.
See, that was an enquiry. But you inquire into the various shenanigans that Bodger Johnson has been getting up to.
Here we go. Okay.
So I hope that clears it up for you, Matt. Bruce texts, I've recently got in the habit of emailing every Tory MP who ventures out to inexplicably defend Bodger. Yesterday it was the turn of Sir Geoffrey Clinton Brown MP. Poor! The parliamentary website instructed me to address him as Sir Geoffrey, so I naturally began my email with, Hi Jeff, he hasn't replied. Well, that's just rude. Welling Garden City. Hello, Daniel.
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Oh, great. Thanks for retelling the story about laser eye surgery. I first heard that on your podcast with Carol McGiffin. Yeah. I cringed then, and I cringed just now.
You're welcome.
Thank you. What I want to get into is Boris Johnson, really. It seems that no amount of law breaking or breaking any ministerial codes is going to lead him to resign.
I followed the ministerial guidance at all times.
Exactly. So what can we do? Do MPs need to have a vote of no confidence in him, or is he just going to ride it out till the next general election, which is a couple of years away, isn't it?
Yeah, I would imagine that every fibre of his being thinks he can just blast through this in the manner that he always just blasted through any trouble that has presented itself. He just goes, "Paw, it's me, paw," and it just people's concerns just fade away. That's his experience of life. But this time around, I'm not so sure, Bodge. You might not get away with it this time.
Well, yeah, but what's going to what's they got to be? Have the people got to try and vote him out, or I don't know? What's the next step?
Well,
what can we do?
Yeah, the people haven't got an option, have they? We can't do that. So it might come down to Hardman Steve Baker. You know Hardman Steve Baker, don't you?
Yeah. I've only just learned that he gave himself that title.
Yeah,
I learned yesterday.
Yeah, he keeps saying, "Oh no, I don't like that Brexit hardman Steve Baker title," and then he keeps referring to his title of Brexit hardman Steve Baker. Yeah.
Mm. So who's going to be the next Prime Minister?
Oh God.
My money's on Jeremy Hunt.
Yes, I would expect that they will pick somebody who is not encumbered with the stench of the current regime.
No, but his name is a Freudian slip sometimes.
Well, if you say so, Daniel, I have absolutely no idea what you mean by that, and I'm not going to think about it for a single more second. Cheers, Daniel. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, it's going to have to be a clean skin, like they say on the telly. Somebody that doesn't have the ickiness of the current government on them. And then they can present themselves as a completely new party. Hey, we're all totally new people, which is their thing. That's what they do. As soon as the public can't stand the leader of the Tory party anymore, they defenestrate them, they chuck them out the window, and then the very same people that have been, running the country and taking us in the direction of their choice, the exact same people will say, look, we're a completely new party. Like a shop will give itself a paint job, or a company will whitewash its reputation by giving themselves a green logo and pretend that they're taking a new direction. No, they're not. Still an oil company, still ruining the planet. Let's have Barry in South Wales. Andy. Barry being the place, not the person. Yes, Andy.
Yes, I'm afraid I have nothing politically incisive to contribute at all. I want to focus, if you forgive the pun, on your eye surgery that you were talking about.
Right.
It sounded horrendous.
Awful. Worst pain ever. I mean, it really is just awful. I mean, you've had grit in your eye before, right?
Yes.
You know how painful that is. You just can't think past it, can you? Your entire being stops to deal with the grit in your eye. Well, imagine that by 1,000 times worse.
Well, the question I got for you is, you said you've got to keep your eyes still for three days.
Yeah, at least.
What happens in the when you sleep in the REM rapid eye movement?
Yeah.
It must be
awful.
You must wake up in agony.
Yeah. It was such a long time ago. I can't quite recall, but I don't think I got much sleep. I don't think you were sleeping very well. No.
Well, I'm just curious if you had any insight into.
But you can't do anything. You can't eat. You can't make food for yourself. You can't really. Every now and again you've got to get up and go to the loo, I suppose, but it's incredibly difficult to keep your eyes still. What was worse was, well, not worse, but what was also really frightening was the doctor says, at the moment that you're getting it done, he said, right, now, I'm going to zap your eyeball with a laser. Don't move your eye. Which is so hard. I mean, just for a few seconds even, I think it was like 20 seconds, I had to stare at this dot and not move my eye. Because if you move your eye, then suddenly the laser is burning off a bit of your eyeball that it's not supposed to.
20 seconds, I can imagine, would be an eternity.
It does seem like forever, yeah. But it's much, much easier now. I mean, like I said, I was one of the first people. It was like a science experiment when I had mine done. I think my memory of it is quite dim now, but I think he was one of the people that actually came up with this procedure. So I was like, right at the foothills of this like medical breakthrough. But one of the best things I ever did. I mean, I can just not having to reach for your glasses first thing in the morning to appear at the clock to see what time it is it's worth it just for that.
Well, it's as well that the procedures have improved, because I think from what you've said today, the waiting list would lessen considerably if it was as it was.
No, nobody would be. Well, I tell you what, you get one eye done and then you go back 6 months later. I don't know if it's still the case, but when I had it done, you go back 6 months later for the second one, and the first one hurt so much that most people would not go back for the second one. You just wouldn't want to put yourself through that again.
No.
All right, thanks a lot, Andy.
You
considering having it done?
Oh, no, not me. Thank you very much.
All right, okay. Chicken 0345 6060 973. Yeah, I don't miss glasses at all. Or contact lenses. Ugh. Hated contact lenses. And my eyes hated them like most of all. They could not get on with contact lenses. Just that thing where you go from a cold outside into a hot room and your glasses steamed up for like the first 5 minutes. So glad I don't have to do any of that anymore. Of course, it doesn't mean that you don't have to wear reading glasses. Still got to do that, as you age and you get decrepit. Still have to do that. But no, Nick, you're not decrepit. Why do you put yourself down like that? Can I please get a bit of help here? Bruce says, I recently got in the habit of... Oh, no, I read that. I must delete them as I read them, otherwise would seem foolish. Chris tweets, governments don't really care about our health. If they did, they'd limit the amount of fast food restaurants and regulate the amount of betting shops. Well, the first part is absolutely true. The government doesn't care about your health. Annual emails. Since I am currently in the... there was interesting a report in the press today about fruit. You know, I ate a piece of fruit that Steve Allen brought into the building. I took it home with me, actually, and I ate it today. Just, checking the quality. So I'll talk about that in a minute as well. Because fruit's changed. Fruit and vegetables, all that stuff's completely changed from how it used to be when we were a lad. Annual emails. Since I am currently in the Caribbean, I can listen to your show after the beach and before going to dinner. How lovely, especially to be so far from the nonsense in the UK. Poor Queen has to deal with Harry and Boris. Please give her a break, guys, says Annual. Harry. Oh, my God. The press are just so obsessed with Harry. Harry, Ukraine is how it goes. On and on and on about Harry. And it's all to do with one thing. He refused to live the life that had been written for him. He just went away and did his own thing. And they've never forgiven him. On and on and on they go. Like he's the most evil person in the world. Hazard and Sparkles. Obsessed they are. Let's have a call in... Let me see. Ealing. Hello, John.
Hello.
John.
I tell you what, you've not sold me on the eyeball scraping thing.
Right.
I was sitting with my youngest daughter, and both of us have eye complaints, and I just thought, no, the scrapey eye thing, it doesn't sound too appealing to me.
Well, they appealing. Ha. No, they don't. They don't do that anymore. That was when I had mine done. Now it's much, much easier.
But Nick, they keep upgrading, so the next one might be better than the next one. I'm waiting for the next. It's like iPhones.
Right. I can't believe that the medical profession hasn't just fixed all this stuff yet. Why can't you take a pill and it just makes your eyes better? I mean,
exactly.
Why can't
grow
you
a new pair of eyeballs?
Yeah. Why can't you lie on, like they had in Star Trek? You just lie on a couch, and then they have a machine that goes.
And that's it.
And then it cures you of everything. Come on, medical professionals, get on with it.
We demand a refund.
Yes.
But could I just say, in terms of, one of your listeners just rang in earlier on, and they said they reckon that CP30, Jeremy Hunt, should be the next Conservative leader.
Why doesn't anyone listen to me? Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he's very, very similar to him. But I just think what we really need, I know it's not going to happen, is a caretaker Prime Minister until we move forward. I'm not going to pluck any names out because they'll be shot down, whether it's Kenneth Clarke or whomever. Yeah. Anybody, just tide us over until we rid ourselves of this homunculus moron that we've got right now.
this national malaise, yeah.
but
people who support other parties might actually think twice about wanting him gone, because if he goes, like I said, the Conservative Party will present themselves as a completely new entity, even though they are the same people.
Yeah.
If Bodger stays in place, then come the next general election, people will be reminded that they are the same people. There is no getting around it. It's still him.
Honestly, Nick, it's terrifying because it's just I just want this to stop. It's like a nightmare that I keep wanting to wake up from, and it never seems to end. In the end, I'm actually laughing now, and I think I'm going to be committed.
Well, as long as you're not crying, he's laughing. All right, thanks a lot, John. Yes, it does occur to me that I'm not really sure that opposition parties have thought this through, because they're clamouring for Bodger Johnson to go, but him leaving is not going to help them much, I wouldn't think, because the Tories will say, well, thank goodness that's over. But they'll still be the same people. They'll just present themselves as someone completely new or something completely new, like a brand new entity, but they're not. And people will be sucked in by that. They'll think, oh, well, finally, complete buffoon. He's gone, and now the Conservative Party can really show their true worth. They will be the exact same people. They'll just shuffle the deck chairs around a bit, and they'll still be going in the same direction. Won't make no never mind. So if I was running an opposition party, I'd be clamouring for Boris Johnson to stay precisely where he is. It doesn't really make any sense to me that they're not doing that. They haven't thought it through. They think we'll get this one win, and then we'll be on our way, say the opposition parties. But that's the opposite of the truth. They'll just go backwards. That's what it seems like to me. But, what do I know? 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. LBC with Nick Abbott.
Thank you for holding. Your call is important to us.
This important call in Northwich is from a person called Alice. Alice.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Alice.
Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you for making your call.
Oh, I just wanted to say I had laser eye surgery recently. It was completely painless.
Wow.
I just walked in, sat down. You rest your chin on something. It's just to hold your head still.
Yeah.
The laser eye surgery was done. He was sitting opposite me, and then I got up and walked out. I think I had some eye drops in first, which I presume were anaesthetic eye drops.
Yes.
And I just got up and walked out. It was completely painless.
You're kidding?
No.
Well, how do they punch through the tough outer skin of the eyeball?
I don't know. It's absolutely, it's just amazing. I mean, I know there are different types of laser eye surgery, but this was right to the very back of my eye. I knew
it was. Was it for correcting? What do they call it? Long sight.
No. This was for a condition called glaucoma.
Oh, right. Well, that's different.
Oh, it is different. Yes, it is different. But the laser has to go right to the very back of the eye.
Yeah. No,
and it was just completely painless.
Right. Well, that's I don't know anything about that, but the laser surgery that I'm talking about is where they burn off the front of your eyeball. They actually burn it off.
Scare everybody, but
well, I'm just telling you the truth, Alice.
Yeah, I know, but I imagine they give you anaesthetic for it. I mean, I've had other eye surgery as well.
Not remotely enough, by the way.
I beg your pardon?
Not remotely enough anaesthetic.
No, obviously. Well, I mean, I have to say I've had painful operations in the past, but I won't go into that.
No, thanks.
But that was a long time. Again, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But
so how did that eye surgery work out for you?
Yes, it worked out. It's worked out really well.
Excellent.
Yeah. Can I say one other thing?
Why not?
Well, it's something you referred to earlier. It's just that really, in essence, Partygate is no more about parties than Watergate was about water. That's it in a nutshell, really.
Right, OK. Thanks for nutshelling it for us, Alice. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. I hope you enjoy your eyeballs. Yes, when I had it done, it was like it was like walking into a torture chamber. There was a completely empty room with a couch and this giant machine above it. You know the scene in Thunderball where James Bond is strapped to a desk or some sort of metal, it's like a metal sort of, I don't know how you describe it really. It's like a metal protrusion. He's strapped to a metal protrusion is James Bond. And then Ernst Stavro Blofeld or Mr. Goldmember? He starts up the laser, and he says, I suppose you'll want me to talk. No, I suppose you expect me to talk. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. That's exactly what it looked like. I was walking into a torture chamber. And it was torturous, I can tell you that. They scrape the front of your eyeball off and then they zap your quivering eyeball with a laser. Here's the good bit. It produces smoke. That's right. I love the smell of eyeball smoke in the morning. Smells like victory. 0345 6060 973. Have you ever smelled the smoke of your own eyeball?
I don't want to.
No, he hasn't smelled it yet. Keep us updated. Wanstead, hello, Sophie.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
I'm great, mate. Just reliving some, fun times from the past.
So, before I talk about what I rang about, Steve Allen said he wouldn't leave you any food, so I'm surprised you got hold of the fruit.
Yeah, somebody had secreted it about their person. They were probably going to smuggle it out of the building. And they passed it on to me, and I ate it today with disappointing results. I'll talk about that later.
But don't take his Nadocot oranges, though, because he loves his.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. It was one of those. And not good.
Dry.
Not dry, just tasteless. It didn't taste of anything. It was like they'd taken all of the taste of a much smaller satsuma and put that amount of taste in a much bigger piece of fruit, with the result that it didn't really taste of anything. And there's probably a good reason for that, because there's a piece an article in the paper today about fruit and veg being rubbish these days. I'll come to that in a minute.
Well, funnily enough, I was saying to a friend, you can't tell what you're eating nowadays, because I could be eating a cucumber or a tomato.
Right.
It's tasteless.
Bingo.
I wouldn't know what it is.
That's right.
And when you walk into a supermarket, the first aisle you come to is the fruit and veg, and you cannot smell a thing.
Not a thing, no. Which is why people go straight past it and go to the crisps aisle.
Exactly. But the inquiry and enquiry, so as you said, if it's an inquiry, that's a formal investigation, and enquiry is when you ask. It's another synonym.
Yeah, I said that.
Yes, you did, but there's also the noun and the verb. So an inquiry can be a noun as well as a verb.
An inquiry can be
so an inquiry, is a verb, and an inquiry can be a noun.
An inquiry is a verb.
An enquiry.
I inquire, you inquire, he inquires. It's a regular verb.
And inquiry can be the name of a formal investigation, so it's a noun.
Yeah, I know all that.
As well.
I believe I said most of that, apart from the noun and the verb part, which nobody was really interested in. People just tuned out there, Sophie. They were staring out the window and dreaming about double football.
But the other thing is, I really liked your description of Michael Fabricant's hair, the pasta.
It's like a colander of upturned pasta on his head. Yeah.
But now I've rumbled Boris Johnson, because he's bamboozled us all. And I read those stories about, I read the headline, I don't read the story, about those poor ladies who have been bamboozled out of their life savings.
What, by Bodger?
No. Just when they go away on exotic holidays. And that's how I feel. I feel like, how could he have bamboozled us all? And we've just woken up.
How have you managed to bamboozle us so, Bodge?
I can't comment
exactly.
on that.
He's not giving up his secrets.
We've seen the light.
Yeah.
But I hope
what do you
they're
hope?
sent into the stratosphere in May. In the elections.
Right. Okay. Thanks a lot, Sophie. Cheers, my dear. It's educational, this show, isn't it?
No.
Not really. Not if you're not paying attention, that is. It was a verb and a noun and a what now? Kerry says, Boris run the country, he can't even comb his hair. I won't forget Partygate. I lost my brother, sister and mother within 6 months. I couldn't visit them in hospital, but he and his cronies can party. Send them to me and I'll educate them, says Kerry. And David says, apparently the Prime Minister who hid and cowered in a fridge from a journalist needs to stay in power so he can stand up to Putin. I think we're living in a Monty Python sketch. Yeah, that's right. The fellow who ran away from Good Morning Television needs to stay where he is to deal with the world's scariest human. Yeah, that's right. Oh, save us, Obi-Wan. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Anybody care what this guy thinks?
No! System aren't working. Stop.
Right, so what are we doing?
Given we're doing a radio show. John emails, did you hear Zahawi rejected a ban on smacking? Yes, he did. 6 of the best, Zahawi?
And 1, 2, 11.
11? Luke texts, I worked on an Android app for a major bank implementing the check scanning. It's actually a feature that is a requirement for all banks to implement in their apps, though I don't know when the deadline is, says Luke. Further information. It's like a tsunami of information on this show, isn't it? That was in reference to something that we were talking about yesterday. I still haven't got through yesterday's emails and texts yet. It's an hour into the show and I'm still doing yesterday's programme. I'm not very good at my job. Simon emails, I hate daylight saving. I can't wait for it to finish in the UK so I can listen to you for an hour more on Saturday morning here in Perth in Western Australia. I get up at 6 a.m. usually, but at the moment you've already been on air for an hour. Normally I listen for 3 hours. I can't see the point of daylight saving. It's silly, says Simon. Simon, I tell you what's silly-er is you can listen to this show as a podcast anytime you blooming well like, you idiot. Are you listening to me when I'm talking? Hello, is this thing on? This show gets stuck up the internet as a podcast. Almost the moment that it is finished. You can get it on Global Player. If you do not have Global Player up your device, then you should get it immediately, if not sooner. You can find it for Apple and Android, and it has all the radio stations that we do. It's got all of the podcasts too. There is a boatload, more than you would ever need to keep you entertained for the rest of your life, which, if Vladimir Putin has got anything to do with it, should be about this time next week. Global Player. Stick it up your device, and you can enjoy this show at your leisure. Let's have a call from Brixton. Tandy.
Wow.
Tandy.
Thank you for taking my call.
Tandy.
Yes. You're frightening everybody with your eye surgery.
Yes.
How long ago was that?
Well, probably 30 years, something like that.
Yes, it sounds like it. Well, my sympathies to you, but I didn't find it like that at all.
No, they don't do it like that anymore.
No, it was very... Well, actually, you can feel them tugging. You get a nice psychedelic rainbow of all different colours.
A psychedelic rainbow.
Groovy.
Yeah, turn off your mind, relax, and float downstream.
Yowza. Then you get all the colours of all the different flowers.
Red and yellow and green and blue, purple and orange and puce.
I don't know how you get away with this show sometimes.
Neither do I. This isn't actually on the air, is it? Oh, my God, we're all in big trouble.
Yes, you are. And as for that song, you're going, Harry, Harry, Harry. It's Harry Krishna, actually. Harry, Harry, Harry.
Yeah, no, I wasn't actually singing a song. I was just referring to essentially the Mail Online, which is just absolutely obsessed with everything Harry. Harry, 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 Meghan.
He just didn't want to stay in the firm. He didn't want to be...
He wanted to act like a separate human being that is leading his life to a script that was written for him by other people. Who would?
Who wants to live in a goldfish bowl, exactly?
Yeah, exactly.
And all those rules and regulations.
Right.
Anyway, this country's crazy. I'm glad he got out. I'd like to go and join him.
If I were him, I'd have got out too. Okay. Because the person that really looks trapped is Paul Wills. Wills and what's it? They're stuck with it, with the smiling and the waving forever. All right, thanks a lot, Tandy. 0345 6060 973. It's just extraordinary, really, the absolute fury that Harry evokes in a certain element. Like the press, the right-wing press, they're absolutely beside themselves. They're so angry with him. Now, is it because he's decided to live 6,000 miles away, which means they're going to have to spend a lot more money papping him? They're going to have to actually pay people to either go over there in order to hang around outside his gate, or they're going to have to, buy photographs from foreign journos. That he's not on their doorstep anymore. They're just beside themselves. They're so furious. I mean, he seems to be, more or less a force for good. What with the Invictus Games and all of the rest of it. I mean, he's not evil, is he? And neither is his other half. But they're painting them like they're the worst people that have ever existed in history. Including, well, no, okay, I won't say that. Don't say the H word. Don't bring him into it. But it's just really mystifying to me, other than they aren't playing the game that was set out before them without them having any say in what the rules are. Why would anybody want to live like that? Particularly if you don't have to, if you don't need the vast amount of public money that gets poured all over the royal family, then why would you stick around to do that, like waving and smiling? It just seems a bit thin, doesn't it? 0345 6060 973. And the obscene wealth, really, when there's people going to food banks in this country. I don't really want to make this show about that, but I just went to see the Fabergé exhibition at the Victoria and Albert Museum. It's very good. I mean, those things are just incredible. The detail on them is just mind-blowing. You can't imagine how many person hours it took to make one of those tiny little things. There's cigarette cases and little pretend vases with flowers in them, one of which was on the Antiques Roadshow. And the bloke who does all the Fabergés, he said, something of the order, well, it's mounting excitement. And if this came up for auction, I know it wouldn't. But if it did, it would cost £1 million. It's a thing about 2 inches tall. It's just flowers in a vase. I mean, well, the workmanship that went into it is beyond comprehension. £1 million. And this exhibition was absolutely stuffed with those things, each of which must have been at least £1 million, almost all of which had been lent by Her Majesty the Queen. I mean, she's got drawers that are absolutely stuffed with these things. Got no end of them. She can't move for Fabergé objects over at her place. And meanwhile, we've got people who are starving to death and freezing in their own homes because they can't afford to turn the heating on. Don't make no sense to me, but like I said, I don't want to turn this show into that. Paul says Boris Johnson's hair looks like Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz. Yeah, maybe he's got like a sort of not hair swap, like a timeshare. Yeah, he's got like a hair timeshare with Tim Weatherspoon's. I mean, think about it. Have you ever seen him in the same place at the same time? Oh, you have? Oh well, forget it. Forget I said anything. Milton Keynes. Mark.
Oh, Nick, is that me?
It sounds like you.
Excellent. Sorry, you caught me unawares. Let's not be down on the royal family just because they've got a couple of bob, eh? There's plenty of other families who've got a couple of bob, just like them. But anyway, hats off to Harry and Meghan, eh? Hats off to them too. What I wanted to say was, I'm looking for a change in the government, and you're thinking, yeah, it looks like it's all going to finish, and he's going to out of it, and someone's going to get in. And on the Andrew Marr show the other day, there was a Labour lady, and he asked her several times a direct question: will you accept the result of the inquiry into blah-de-blah? And she prevaricated, Nick. She didn't say yes, she didn't say no. And I'm thinking, no, for God's sake, let's have a politician who can answer a question straight. Is that too naive to imagine?
The Labour Party have missed so many open goals. It's incredible that they're still actually in the game.
So
the Tories have gifted them the ball and then walked off the pitch, and still Labour can't score.
Unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. I was so disappointed, man. You know what I mean? That she didn't answer him straight. She just prevaricated, just the same as all the others.
Right. Well,
and I've heard it all before.
I only have your word on it, so I can't. I didn't hear it, so I can't really compliment.
No, that's right.
Comment rather. I don't know. I don't even know who it was.
I think she was the opposition Secretary of State or something legal or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like. I've heard her talk before, and I thought, great, she's great. You know, like that Angela lady from the Midlands. She's great and all. But I've heard this lady talk before. I thought, yeah, she's right on it. But she didn't give him a straight answer. I'm thinking, for God's sake, can't we get a change?
Colour me unstunned. Not a straight answer from a politician.
No.
Well, no surprise there. Yeah.
It's too much to ask. Is it really? Is it?
I think that it's about time. It's about time that somebody did actually act like a real human being, that is a politician, and stop just looking over their shoulder and trying to remember what it is that they're supposed to be saying in any given situation. Just say what you think, for crying out loud.
Yes, that's right.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mark. 0345 6060 973. Let's see. How many more of yesterday's texts? Oh, not many. I've almost finished yesterday's texts and emails, and then I'm going to have to start on tonight's. Oh, Struth. I'll never get through them. Joseph tweets, I wear masks most of the time to reassure those on public transport, especially the vulnerable. Many have little choice but to use those services, pubs, etc. you choose to go to, so we all enter taking a risk. Yeah, there's a lot of people who just flail their arms around at people who were wearing masks these days as though they're, I don't know, unpatriotic or, I don't know, something. They're reminding us of this COVID menace, this invisible menace that we're pretending has actually gone away and isn't a thing anymore. I keep hearing a voice in the background. There's a voice in the background. There's something on in here, and I've tried to find it, but I can't. I think it's either you are bleeding through the system here, or it's another radio station that somebody's turned up on one of these about 10,000 buttons that are over there that I can't locate and find what it is. So I bet you, as an expert, will be coming in and fixing that momentarily, if not sooner. I shall look forward to that, because it's very hard to concentrate when I'm hearing something else coming at me. But you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
And I can't stand him.
0345 6060 973. Liz emails, all this talk of checks, or checks, C-H-E-C-K-S as they spell it here, not C-H-E-Q-U-E-S. All this talk of checks has reminded me here in Hawaii, faxing is a frequently used method of communication.
What?
You're joking. I am constantly asked by various doctors' offices to fax something through, yet here I am listening to you on the World Wide Wait. I don't understand, says Liz. Well, neither do I. But I'd like to be in Hawaii to investigate that for you personally. Sadly, not. Lloyd texts, I saw you in Aldi the other day with your headphones on. What were you listening to? Have you heard Michael Franks? Who's Michael Franks? And I was not in Aldi the other day, and I don't walk around with headphones on. But, apart from that, completely correct in every respect. Let's have Berkshire. Dennis.
Oh, hi, Nick. Hi, Nick. Thanks for another great show tonight.
Thanks, Dennis.
Just wanted to recollect an incident where I was working quite a few years ago. We had a carpentry workshop there. And one of the guys got a bit of sawdust in his eye.
Oh.
And he thought he got it out, but it went septic.
No,
over.
wait a minute. Is this a horrible story?
No. It's quite funny. No.
Well, not so far, but okay then.
Sorry, okay.
It better get funny soon.
Yep, he went into hospital, and they got the bit of sawdust out of his eye by injecting the muscles in the back with a relaxant.
Oh, my God.
And he took his eye out of its socket.
Oh.
No,
is this the funny part?
No, totally not painless. Totally painless, no problem. They got the nasty bit of sawdust out.
Yeah.
And he said the funny bit was it's the first time it's the first time he's ever seen his chin and his beard in his life. That was the funny bit. He'd never seen it before except in a mirror.
Oh, my God, I'm freaking out here, Dennis.
Oh, no, there was no blood, nothing at all. It was just one of those things.
It's just they yanked his eye out of his head. That's all.
Yeah, there's 6 muscles, apparently, that hold your eye in position and move it about.
Mm.
And if they put a muscle relaxant into those, then they relax,
Right,
and they can actually just pull your eye forward and work behind it.
Please stop telling us about it again.
Sorry.
It was bad enough the first time. All right, thanks very much, Dennis. Cheers, mate. Oh. Carol says, I just wanted to say Happy St. George's Day. Happy St. George's Day, Carol. Reese says, I think Susan Boyle, after dyeing her hair, would be perfect. For what? Are you talking about who would play Boris Johnson in a film of his life? Because there's one right next to it that says Johnson would be played by Gary Busey. Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah. Or the Scarecrow out of The Wizard of Oz. So those are last night's messages, all of them. And it's only taken me an hour and 20 minutes to wipe up yesterday's messages. Now on to today's. Let's see how many of today's I've got. Oh my God, I'll never finish these. That's ridiculous. Like 13 pages of them. Ealing. Miriam.
Hello, Nick.
Do you believe this? 13 pages of messages I've got to get through. I'm going to be here all night.
Oh, right. Well, what I was ringing about was...
Not remotely interested. Go ahead.
I was alarmed by your negative comments about laser
Alarmed?
Yes. Laser eye surgery has advanced since you had your surgery, which I believe was 30 years ago.
I know that. I've said that many, many times.
Oh, right. I had the laser eye surgery done at the beginning of January 2020 to remove cataracts.
Yeah, that's not the kind of surgery I'm talking about. I'm talking about when they cure your long-sightedness.
Yes, it did. I had the choice of either having distance lenses or near distance lens, and I had the distance lens, a new distance lens installed. So they removed the cataracts.
They installed it.
Well,
you know, a team of blokes brought it round on a lorry. Yeah.
It was absolutely painless.
Right.
You are sedated beforehand by an anaesthetist.
Miriam, I wish I was sedated right now.
Yes. But there was none of the cutting of the eye, which occurred in your operation 30 years ago. They now use a suction method, certainly for the laser eye, the removal of cataract.
A suction
method?
With
laser. And it's just a half-a-day outpatient surgery, and they will do both eyes on the same day. This is for private treatment. I don't know about the NHS.
Right. The NHS would just give you a pair of spectacles and tell you to shut up about it.
Well, I mean, there was, certainly with the private treatment I have had, it was absolutely excellent. There was no pain after surgery whatsoever, no blood. None of the discomfort that you experienced years ago.
Yeah.
And it's the best thing I've ever had done.
Right. Well, that's excellent news, Miriam.
The post-operative care was absolutely excellent.
It was stunning, yes.
And also it was done within about 8 weeks of me contacting the private clinic in London.
Right.
Well, and it was undertaken by a well-qualified ophthalmologist surgeon.
What? A what?
An ophthalmologist
surgeon.
Yes.
Yeah, ophthalmologist surgeon.
So, please update your views about laser eye surgery.
Miriam, which show are you listening to? I've said all this already.
Yes, but I don't want people to get the wrong idea that it's painful and it's unpleasant.
It's the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life, including this phone call.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Miriam. 0345 6060 973. You can call any time you like, Miriam. Rona texts, I made tagliatelle for our tea tonight. When I said jokingly to my husband, that looks like Michael Fabricant's hair, he said, who the hell is Michael Fabricant? Imagine how wonderful it would be to be blissfully unaware that fabricant exists. Can you imagine? John emails. Can you please refrain from talking about whatever is on top of Michael Fabricant's head? It's giving me nightmares. Last night I dreamt I was discussing this with you and how it managed to float just above his skull. We concluded it would be greatly improved by a covering of bolognese sauce. Bolognese sauce. You say it.
Bolognese sauce?
Smart Alec. This caused me to wake up in a hot sweat. Not a pretty sight, I can assure you, says John. And another John, entirely, spelt different, says, please, 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 what is the name of that tune you hum while you're checking the weather in Glasgow? You could Shazam it. Ashby. Hello, David.
Hello, good evening, Nick. It's the girl from Ipanema.
The girl from Ipanema is the right answer.
Oh, do I win a prize?
No, but thanks for asking.
Now, couple of things. One, the guy had on earlier about his eye hanging on his cheek and all that lot.
God, you had to bring that back up again?
You're all right. No, you're okay. Because I recently had to undergo some corrective eye surgery.
Yeah, your eyes needed to be corrected.
They did, yes, through a divergent squint. And anyway, I asked my ophthalmic surgeon exactly what that guy just said because somebody had told me that. And his answer was, your eye is not on a piece of elastic.
Oh, gross.
So, no, in other words, your eyeball cannot come out and then be popped back in.
Right, so it's not like the cartoons where
I think that's where it comes from. Yeah,
pull your eye right out, and then they let
Flick
go.
It back. Yeah.
It zooms back into your skull. Right.
As I say, apparently it's right. The other thing is,
so Tom and Jerry is not based on real life. Is that what you're saying?
Is that so?
Well,
no, surely not.
That's the implication of what you're telling me.
Then I take everything back.
That it's not truthful.
It's neither that legal, decent, honest either.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, the other thing is, for at least 2 weeks, you have not used one of my favourite words, finagle.
Finagling?
Yeah, well, now, finagling, I know from a song by Roger Miller. It occurs in the song Chug-a-Lug about the joys of alcohol. Roger Miller, England swings and...
England swings like a...
Swings like a pendulum do. Yeah. Yeah, him.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
right.
So that's one of them.
He managed to insert the word finagling into a song. That is excellent work.
With the aid of my finagling uncle is the actual line.
Wow. Fiddling about.
Yeah, it does sound a bit like that. No, it's about illicit drinking.
Right. Drinking. Booze. Probably.
Exactly. Yeah. So just because you appear to be so random tonight, my other favourite word is crepuscular. You know that one?
That is an excellent word. It's it's like David.
A quality of light.
A quality of light. Crepuscular.
Yeah, it's when it's getting dark or presumably getting light, and you can see the shape of things, but you can't see the colours.
Wow.
I mean, there had to be a word for it, didn't there?
Well, I guess so, but crepuscular doesn't really sound right. Crepuscular sounds more like Lord Frost's, what his face looks like. His face looks a little crepuscular to me.
Correct. Yeah, well, yes, absolutely correct. There we go. The other one on a meteorological basis, Alexander's Dark Band.
What's that?
It is, you see a rainbow?
Yeah.
And then below it's another rainbow with the colours inverted.
No.